For 30 years, the answer was always China. Where's it made? China. Who builds it? China. The factory of the world. That title belonged to one country, and no one came close. That era is ending. Right now, factories are leaving China by the thousands, and the manufacturing that built the modern economy is moving somewhere most people can't even point to on a map. Not one country, 11 of them. 670 million people. A region quietly absorbing the largest manufacturing migration in human history and becoming the next China before anyone's noticed. This is the most important economic shift happening right now, and almost no one is talking about it. To understand why Southeast Asia matters, you need to understand what broke. For 2 decades, the global supply chain ran on a simple assumption. China is the factory floor. Low wages, massive scale, deep infrastructure. No one could compete. Then 3 things happened almost simultaneously. First, Chinese wages rose. The cost advantage that made Made in China the default answer for manufacturers started shrinking. Second, the US-China trade war introduced tariffs that made Chinese exports more expensive in the American market. Third, COVID exposed just how catastrophically fragile a supply chain concentrated in one country could be. Suddenly, every major corporation on Earth had the same question. Where else can we go? The answer, overwhelmingly, was Southeast Asia. And the numbers show it. The region's combined GDP hit nearly $4 trillion in 2024, growing at 4.6%, almost double the global average. Total trade across emerging Southeast Asian economies reached $3.6 trillion, up from $2.8 trillion before the pandemic. This is a structural shift, not a trend. Vietnam's total exports went from 54% of GDP in 2010 to nearly 94% by 2022. That's not organic growth. That's a country absorbing a global manufacturing migration in real time. Samsung, Intel, and Foxconn have all invested heavily in Vietnam, building not just factories, but R&D hubs. Indonesia launched its Making Indonesia 4.0 initiative, targeting electric vehicles. Thailand, already producing over 2 million vehicles annually, is known as the Detroit of Asia. Malaysia is anchoring semiconductor manufacturing. The Philippines is dominating in electronics components and services. This isn't one country getting lucky. It's an entire region, 670 million people across 11 nations, inserting itself into the arteries of global commerce all at once. Here's what makes Southeast Asia's rise different from other emerging market stories. It's not just cheap labor, it's location. Look at a map. Southeast Asia sits at the intersection of every major shipping lane on Earth. The Strait of Malacca, the narrow channel between Malaysia and Indonesia, is the single most important choke point in global trade. Around 90% of world trade moves by sea. A significant share of that passes through Malacca. Control that geography, and you control the flow of goods between the Pacific and Indian Oceans. Singapore alone recorded $963 billion in total trade in 2024. Vietnam posted $787 billion. These aren't just big numbers. They represent nodes in the network that every container ship, every tanker, every bulk carrier uses to move the world's goods. And the region is investing heavily to deepen that advantage. Ports are expanding, free trade zones are multiplying. The Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, signed with China, Japan, South Korea, and others, is lowering trade barriers and widening market access across the bloc. Now here's the part that almost nobody covers. Southeast Asia doesn't just produce goods that go on ships. Southeast Asia operates the ships. And no country illustrates this more starkly than the Philippines. Approximately 400,000 Filipino seafarers are employed worldwide, making up around 25% of the entire global seafaring population. Filipino seafarers man around 30% of the world's merchant fleet: container ships, bulk carriers, oil tankers, cruise ships. Read that again. One country, with a population of 115 million, supplies roughly 1 in 4 of every sailor keeping global trade alive. In 2024, the seafaring industry generated $17 billion in total economic activity in the Philippines. Remittances from seafarers alone reached $5.6 billion that year. The surge began in the 1970s oil crisis, when the world could no longer afford Western crews. Shipping companies needed a workforce that was English proficient, extensively trained, and cost competitive. The Philippines built an entire education and recruitment system around filling that gap. Today, there are 80 to 100 maritime schools in the Philippines, offering degrees specifically designed to produce seafarers for the global market. The IMO's former Secretary General once called Filipino seafarers unsung heroes of an unsung industry, the shipping industry that carries most of the world's traded goods. But here's what the headlines about Southeast Asia's rise leave out. Becoming the next China isn't guaranteed, and the same things that made this shift possible could just as easily slow it down. Start with the infrastructure gap. Manufacturing moved faster than the roads, ports, and power grids could keep up. Vietnam's factories have grown so quickly that the country has faced electricity shortages, power cuts that force plants to halt production during peak demand. You can win the contracts, but if you can't keep the lights on, the orders don't ship. Then there's the dependency problem. A huge share of what Southeast Asia makes is really final assembly. Components still flow in from China, get put together, and ship out stamped with a new country of origin. That's enough to dodge tariffs, but it means the region hasn't fully replaced China so much as moved one step down the same supply chain. Real independence means building the components too, and that takes decades. And the choke point that's their greatest strength is also their greatest weakness. The Strait of Malacca moves a massive share of the world's trade through a channel that, at its narrowest, is under 2 miles wide. Piracy, a collision, a regional conflict, or a blockade. Any one of them could choke the artery the entire region depends on. Add competition from India, which is courting the exact same manufacturers with the exact same pitch, and the picture gets more fragile than the growth charts suggest. So is Southeast Asia really the next China? The honest answer? It's already becoming it. Just not in the way most people imagine. Not one giant replacing another, but a network of 11 nations splitting up the work that one country used to do alone. The factory of the world isn't moving to a single new address. It's being rebuilt across an entire region. And the next time you pick up your phone, check the label on your clothes, or unbox something that crossed an ocean to reach you. There's a growing chance it didn't come from where you'd assume. It came from the place quietly rewiring how the whole world is built. That's the shift. And it's only just beginning.